Dave Hughes here, and now, joining us in the studio, the president of the Mississippi Lottery Corporation, who, let me just say right up front, has done a bang-up job taking us from a standing start to just success. Tom Shaheen. Tom, how you doing, man?
Very good, and thank you for that nice introduction.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, it hasn't even been a year yet, and we're surpassing all expectations, I think.
Well, it's truly a team effort. You know, one person doesn't do it by himself, and we have a great board of directors. We got a great group of retailers. We got a great vendor that helps us through all this, and plus the lottery staff. So, yeah, thank you. We appreciate that. We're working hard to try to raise as much money as we possibly can.
Well, and doing a fantastic job, and let's just lead off with that. Let's update the numbers. Where are we at in terms of sales and in terms of how much the state is getting back out of it?
The fiscal year starting July 1st, our sales through Saturday were a little over $118 million. So by the end of the month, it'll probably be around $122 million, which is pretty good. Summer has a tendency to be the weakest quarter, and so $122 million in the weakest quarter would be wonderful.
So that's just 3 months.
Yes, 3 months.
3 months worth.
The return for July and August is a little bit over $18 million.
So that's
pretty good. So it's $9 million a month, and hopefully the weakest months of the year.
Yeah, because it's all up from here. Of course, it launched last year in November, and I think it was, end of January before we got the Powerball and the Mega Millions in, right?
We launched in prime time last year, right before the holidays, and so we didn't have any experience with the summer, but it doesn't look to be too bad, and we're looking forward to this coming up quarter.
When you're looking at tracking statistics, can you really count this summer?
Well, you have to. It's been tough. I still think we're feeling some effects of the COVID virus. It certainly has changed everything, but we're averaging still over $9.5 million a week in sales. So that's pretty good. Combining that with COVID and just the summer months in themselves, I think we're doing okay. We're holding our own.
Now, one of the selling points to get this finally approved and in place in Mississippi was the money that was going to get back to the state for roads, and if it was successful enough for education, I think we're going to meet that goal, aren't we?
Hopefully so. Now, we have transferred since November 25th when we started. We have transferred $88 million, okay, but that goes over fiscal years. So $70 million was through last fiscal year, so now we're starting over. Right now, absolutely on track. If it keeps going the way it has been, we're on track to go over $90 million.
That is fantastic. And of course, anything over that limit, is it 80 or 90?
Anything over 80
million, yeah.
So we're looking forward to some of the money going to education.
Which will be great because that's going to be earmarked for supplies for schools and things of that nature is what it'll be used for. After you put $80 million into the roads, and I know you hear this. Some people go, "Oh yeah, it's just $80 million. That's not a big deal." That does a lot of work on the roads of Mississippi, and trust me, we have no shortage of roads that could use that $80 million.
Well, we're happy to do whatever we can. Our goal is always to try to exceed $80 million. That's a nice goal to have, but we always work to get more.
Well, and I think you're doing a good job of that. It looks like it. Now, we were talking before we went on the air. One thing that is interesting about it is it's a continuing, evolving thing. You don't just put the lottery in and you're done. It's nonstop work every month.
Correct.
Like.
And we still have more games to introduce. We introduced Cash 3 on September 1st. Probably the worst time in the world to introduce it, but we had planned on introducing it in May because of the virus, we had to set up training classes for retailers, and they just couldn't come to training. And when we started on September 1st, we still had about 500 retailers that weren't selling the game because they weren't able to come in to training. I believe we have that all caught up now, and the game is growing every day. We're really happy with it. We've had positive feedback from players, and now we're on to the next game.
Do we have anything breaking we can break here today?
Well, we got something going. Yeah, we're looking for a small lotto type. Introducing a small lotto type game for Georgia. It's 5 numbers. You pick 5 numbers out of a pool. We haven't finalized what the pool size would be, but an example would be 5 numbers out of 35. We hope to have that ready sometime in April, and that'll be launched this year. Shortly after the first of this year, calendar year, we'll be introducing a $20 instant scratch-off game. We're getting a lot of feedback from players. When are you going to have a $20 game? When are you going to have a $20 game? And they're used to that, again, from other states. There's states like Texas that has a $50 game. North Carolina has a $30 game. I don't know with any others at this point, but several states go beyond that. So we will introduce a $20 game sometime after the first of the year.
Now, going back to the pick 5 that you were talking about, is that the answer to the question I have on the text line here? No. You even know what the question is. I haven't even told
know what
you.
The question. We have looked at a 6-number game, a Powerball type game that is Mississippi centric. There's just not enough population to support it, and that's based on looking at other states our size, some even larger. Again, but the only states that have their own anymore is bigger states like New York, Florida, Texas, California. And it's just not going to fit in the mix at this point in time. But a 5-digit game is very popular. The top prizes are, can range. We're going to probably start it out at $50,000, and it'll roll each time it's not hit. We haven't decided if it's going to be 7 nights a week or 3 nights a week to start it out, but that's the building process. We've done a lot of research on this. We will continue to look at a 6-number game, but it's hard to get a top prize with the odds of those games that would be attractive.
Well, and the texter came right back and said, well, Louisiana has one and it's successful, but Louisiana has had a lottery system in place for decades, which is the difference, I think.
Yeah, and it depends on how you define successful.
Okay. Well, okay, yeah.
You have a game, and it's out there. Okay, and they've had it for a long time, and this is not to crack on Louisiana by any means, but you have to be able to at least start it at $1 million, and it's going to be tough because you don't have enough players in this state with the odds of that game to win. We just don't see that it's a fit right now. But again, we're not giving up on it. We still look at different versions of it, and we watch other states.
Well, and it seems to me like, especially in Mississippi, we're not even a year into this yet, that you would very quickly reach the diminishing returns where you would be taking dollars out of Powerball or Mega Millions to play a state lottery, and you're not really gaining anything in the process.
Yes.
And I may be looking at that wrong. I don't know.
Well, it's going to vary from state to state, but again, you just need enough players. You need the odds to be right for them. These odds even for $1 million jackpots, the odds are still going to be in the millions. Okay, so if you're going to play a game for the odds in the millions, you're going for the big boys, Powerball and Mega Millions. The 5-number game we're going to introduce is going to be well under $1 million, well under the millions in odds.
Yeah, so you got a better chance to win.
Yeah, you got a better chance to win,
and that's usually how it works. Yes. And somebody else, Randy, says, how about a Fantasy 5 like Florida 7 days a week, which is kind of what you're considering.
It's basically the similar game, yeah. It's 5 numbers out of a pool of maybe 35, 37 numbers. We're looking again at 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. May start it out with 3, see how it does, and long later on move it to 5. It's a gradual process. It takes a lot of thinking and a lot of time to research to make these decisions. It's not that easy to just put it out there, okay? You're looking at a state of Florida that's got, I don't know what their population is. I started out at the Florida lottery, and the population that, is 19 million, plus their winter residents pushes them well close to 25 million. But our game will be very similar to that game.
Okay, that makes sense. And I would assume on that game, whatever the jackpot is, that's it. It's not going to build.
Yeah, it's going to build.
Oh, it will build.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's just,
Okay, if nobody wins it, it'll just continue to build. But like you mentioned, a possibility of 50,000 would be the floor. That would be when somebody wins it the next time.
That's what we're hoping for, yeah.
But that's got to be supported by ticket sales.
Yes, it does.
100%. That's the part sometimes people, I don't think, connect those two dots together. We're talking with Tom Shaheen, Mississippi Lottery Corporation, and we will continue because you've got some new scratch-off games coming up.
We do.
Is it next week?
It's the 3rd of October, yeah. Is that next week?
So next week. We'll talk about those next. Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi, the JT Show. Tom Shaheen in studio. Mississippi Lottery Corporation. And you guys, now every month you bring out new scratch-offs, right?
Correct.
And I would assume that's one of those things you can't just put some in and just leave them forever. But you got to keep it fresh.
You have to keep it fresh. Players like to see new games. Certain games sell out relatively quickly, so you got to come back with new ones. We go on sale every first Tuesday of every month. And we're trying to get that message out so that both players and retailers know when to expect the new games. They don't have to go looking for it anywhere. We have signage that we make that talks about First Tuesday. I believe we've talked about First Tuesday on some of the billboards at one point in time. So, we want to get that message out.
We push it on our social media as well. So we'll tease those games out tomorrow.
Okay,
we usually do it a week out.
Tomorrow they'll get teased, and then next week on Tuesday, which I think we settled the date as, the 6th?
Yes.
I don't have a calendar in front of me, and I'm too lazy to click it on the computer, so I'm glad we got the text.
It's the first Tuesday.
First Tuesday of every month, you roll out new games.
You don't need a date, just the first Tuesday.
Now, when you roll out new games, do you retire some of the ones that are there?
No, not at the same time we roll out. We are ending games. We sent out a press release Friday where we're ending 7 more games.
8 games.
This is why I bring Meg along.
You notice in the entire first segment, she just sat there and didn't say a word.
Yeah, well, she's waiting for me to make mistakes and trip up.
She's
so
waiting
she can
to pounce,
me.
Tom.
No.
No, we're on to you, Meg.
There's limited information I know, and so when I know it, there you go.
She
jumps.
Meg, I'll call her May. Meg is correct. It is 8 games, and we have 4 that we have already ended, and the last day to claim a prize is October 29th on those 4 games. And let me read those off just in case players still have those tickets. It's Love You All, Happy Holidays, Money Bags, and Fast 50s. Last day to claim a prize. Is that correct, Meg?
I'll have to go back on that.
You're going to have to go with me on this one.
That one's been so long.
You're going to have to go with me on this one. So those 4 games, last day to claim a prize is October 29th. So if you're holding any tickets in those games, get them in.
And do it within the next month.
Yes.
Because you're out of time on that. And you give them plenty of time because if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, and I'm sure Meg will jump all over me if I am, that's okay. It's what you're here for. I think like the Love Y'all was like back around Valentine's.
Yes.
Yeah.
When that one came out.
Mississippi didn't love you all that much.
Really?
No.
Didn't go that well. No. What's the biggest seller, do you think?
It's $10 games. They're constantly in the top selling games. I'm not sure.
Cash.
Mega
one
Cash.
Of them. It's a big purple one. People really like that one.
They really love the $10 games. Players that come in and win prizes on them, you ask them what they play. Well, I play the $1 once in a while, but I play the $10 game. So.
Yeah, well, you want big returns. You got to go big.
And the 5s are next. And the 1s do really well, but it's 5s and 10s that really move the lottery.
So that probably has something to do with your figuring that went into, let's launch a $20.
Yes, absolutely.
It would have to.
We thought, we knew about it before we ever started the lottery. We knew other lotteries did it, and we had to your point, we had to see how 5s did and how 10s did. And there is now feedback, as I said, when's 20 coming? Somebody asked for a 30. Somebody asked for a 50. I'm not going out any farther right now. We'll go do a $20 game, and we'll see how that works out.
I was going to ask you, where does this end? If you float the 20s and they do great, do we go up again?
It's hard to say. I don't know the answer to that question right now. We'd really need to see how the 20s do. and you get into 30s and 50s, and it's just, I don't know. It's hard to discuss at this point in time.
No, you don't have the data.
No.
You don't have the information. C-Spire text line, and this question comes up on a regular basis, and I know the answer, but I'm going to let you give it straight from the source here, or we could just let Mag do it because she's the one with the facts here. Says, I have had some retailers refuse to sell me tickets if I don't pay cash. Is that a law?
Go ahead.
Meg?
No, it's not a law. So in the legislation, retailers have the option of accepting cash, debit, or credit. Each retailer can tweak that however they see fit. So some retailers prefer operating in cash only for lottery. Some take everything. So is it a law?
No, it's in our regulations that they can take debit, credit, or cash. That is just for everybody's convenience. Okay, it's whether it's for the player's convenience or the retailer's convenience. Hopefully retailers that aren't taking debit and credit, for lottery tickets, maybe aren't taking debit and credit for other things too at those values. But the retailer does have a choice, and
the thing is, just to illustrate this on the other side of this point, if a retailer decides they only want to sell them for cash, that's within the law. There's nothing wrong with that, but that is the retailer's choice.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with you guys.
It's no different than any other product. A retailer doesn't have to take debit or credit for anything if they don't want to. I mean, that's their business decision to make. I've been in a couple restaurants that wouldn't take anything but cash. Not here.
Really?
Up in Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Well, those people, that's a whole different thing, right? It's a whole different world.
They wouldn't take a debit or a credit card.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It's an interesting story, isn't it, that I brought to the table
that
there?
Is, yeah, I did not expect the Minnesota connection to come in with a weird restaurant story, but here we are, Tom.
It was just tying it to a retailer has a decision to take cash, debit, or credit, and that particular restaurant wouldn't take my credit card or my debit card. Luckily, I had some cash in my pocket.
I wonder how their tips do.
Probably not very well.
I would think.
Yes. I don't think the wait staff would have been happy with that. But then again, this isn't lottery, so let's get back on track.
Back to this question. I stopped by a convenience store on the way in to work this morning. Didn't get a lottery ticket, but they had their sign up on the register said, "We accept cash and debit card for lottery, no credit cards." So it can be divided up any way the retailer wants to.
Yes.
It's just like their hours of operation.
Yeah.
I mean, all of our retailers don't operate 8 to 5 every day or the same.
The good news is we have over 1,830 retailers across the state. So if somebody's not taking your debit or credit card, there's always hopefully another store nearby that will. But again, we can't dictate to them how to run their business.
Now, I would assume the majority of those are convenience stores and the like. Is there anybody that's a bit of an unusual location that you can think of that you're like, oh, okay, they might be welcome aboard, but you didn't really see it coming?
We have a barber shop in Tupelo. It
Really?
is like a sports bar themed barber shop, and so they sell lottery tickets. And then there are a few sort of locally owned restaurants that sell. Those are the first two that really jump to mind.
Few tobacco and cigarette stores.
Yeah, beer, tobacco, cigarette stores sell.
For some reason, that almost makes more sense to me.
What's that?
Like a tobacco store or a beer store as opposed to the barber shop. Mm-hmm. Even if it is sports themed, you wouldn't get. That was kind of what I was going after. I was just curious because I'm sure the majority of them have to be convenience store type operations.
Yes, and we have some supermarkets now, and we are working with Walmart, and hopefully they will be up and selling after the first of this year.
Really?
Kroger is selling. We have Food Giant. We have some Winn-Dixies. We have some supermarkets also.
Somebody here says Grenada Donut Shop, cash only.
Yeah.
There's apparently a donut shop up there.
Donuts and lottery tickets.
Let's see. Somebody asked, when will the second chance games drawings occur?
Well, they don't occur until the games end. Okay, so the first games that have second chance drawings have only been out since like mid-August at the end in September. So it'll be 90 days after those games end.
Next year, in other words.
So it depends on how quickly players buy these games. But you probably won't see a second chance drawing probably close to next summer.
Yeah.
Unless a couple of these games sell out pretty quickly, and we have a game out there called 50X that's moving pretty fast. So if that game were to sell out relatively quickly, then we could see a second chance drawing in the next few months.
Okay, very good, because, we barely have 90 days left in the year. If one of them sold out today, it would be next year almost. So it would have to. Doing a ticket vending machines. We're not even going to go there because we're out of time.
All right.
Yeah, you're welcome, by the way. Although you would have looked at Meg and said, you answered this.
We do have vending machines that'll be going out to stores in the next few months.
Really?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
See, Tom, I always underestimate how on top of this you are.
Well, me and Meg.
Oh, no, here we go again. Thank you so much, Tom Shaheen.
Take care.
And his keeper, Meg, here on the JT Show from the Mississippi Lottery Corporation.